Imagine waking up to a world that isn't yours anymore. A world where the laws of physics have been overwritten by a cold, digital interface, where the sky itself is a neon blue notification screen and your very identity is reduced to a set of stats floating in the air. This is the year the towers appeared, the year humanity didn't just lose its freedom, but its reality. We call it the awakening, but it was nothing more than a systematic culling, a moment where Earth was turned into a playground for entities who view our existence as nothing more than a glitchy, disposable game. One day, the ground cracked open, and colossal stone structures pierced the clouds, bringing monsters that tore through steel and concrete like wet paper. And just when it seemed like the end, the system arrived with the promise of power, levels, classes, skills, all designed to lure us into a false sense of security while we were being trained for slaughter. We turned our lives into a grind, sacrificing our humanity for the dopamine hit of leveling up, bowing down to the system administrators who watched our struggles with the bored detachment of a farmer watching livestock. We were safe, yes, but we were caged. And then there was him, Jaehwan. He didn't have a status window. In a world where your value was written in the air above your head, he was a blank space, a nullity, a glitch in a world that hated glitches. While everyone else scrambled to appease the gods for scraps of power, Jaehwan stood in the ruins, staring at a gate that hadn't been touched in decades. He wasn't waiting for a quest, he was waiting to break the world. To understand the scale of his rebellion, you have to look at the anatomy of his defiance. He realized that the system wasn't a savior, it was a filter, a way to cull the weak and refine the useful. He walked among people who were desperate to climb a ladder that only led to their own destruction, and he saw the truth. Reality itself was a lie. As he begins his ascent, he rejects the legendary gear the system tries to force on him, choosing instead a simple, broken blade. He doesn't rely on the system's magic, he relies on his own raw human will. He enters the first floor of the tower, and the air changes. It smells like static, like a corrupted file, and he begins to see the golden threads of reality holding this illusion together. And for the first time in history, someone reaches out to cut them. Think about the psychological weight of that. To be the only one who sees the bars of the cage. To walk among people who are trying to survive in a prison they refuse to acknowledge. Jaehwan is not a hero of the system, he is the executioner of the game. As he cuts through the first administrator, the tower recoils, and for a split second, the veil drops. But the climb is a descent into a much darker heart. As he progresses, the environments become alien, shifting from forests made of circuit boards to rivers of liquid energy. He meets monsters that aren't just animals but twisted, mechanical nightmares designed to punish anyone who dares to question the status quo. He encounters the ghosts of old civilizations, people broken by the system, addicted to the power it provides. He tries to show them the truth, but their conditioning is too deep. They can't imagine a world without the system, even when that world is a grave. And this is the central tension, the comfort of the lie versus the jagged, bloody truth of freedom. Jaehwan doesn't pity them, because pity is a luxury he can't afford. He faces the floor of illusions, where the system weaponizes his own desires against him, showing him a life where the tower never appeared, where he could have been happy. It tempts him with power and peace. But Jaehwan knows that those dreams are just lures to keep him in the cage. He strikes down the projection of his own desires, and the feedback from the tower is immense. The architects finally notice him, and they move from curiosity to fear. The fight is no longer about survival, it is about total annihilation. He fights beings that shouldn't even be able to manifest here, pushing his body past the breaking point. He learns to hack the system, to turn their own rules against them. He is rewriting the game code in real time, becoming the nightmare that the developers never predicted. As the tower begins to crumble from the inside out, the true face of the world is revealed, an empty, failed experiment. And standing in the ruins of the final battle, Jaehwan realizes the end was always inevitable. The system was a house of cards, and he was the gale that brought it down. But the freedom he leaves in his wake is not a gift, it is a burden. The survivors are paralyzed by the silence, by the lack of instructions. They are terrified. But Jaehwan doesn't look back. He knows that history is written by those who step out of the code and into the raw, unscripted reality of choice. Why? You see, the genius of this story is that it mirrors our own existential struggle. We are all trapped in our own towers, climbing levels defined by society, chasing rewards that hold no substance, and fearing the moment our systems might falter. But if you take a page from the man who stared down the gods and refused to blink, you find that the most powerful tool you have is the ability to say no. The journey is a cinematic reminder that every choice is an act of creation or submission. As the screen fades, you aren't left with a tidy conclusion. You are left with a heavy, invigorating responsibility. You are the architect now. The rules you follow are the ones you write. The levels you gain are the ones you define through your own growth. The tower is just a memory, a cautionary tale of what happens when we stop being the protagonists of our own lives. So, what is your next move? Will you continue to climb the ladders placed before you, or will you sharpen your own blade and start cutting your own path? The choice, the struggle, and the ultimate, agonizing freedom are yours. The world is waiting to be rewritten by someone brave enough to tear it down and build something honest in its place. And that someone is you. The revolution isn't coming, it's already here, and the only question left is whether you'll be the one who climbs or the one who watches from the shadows of a broken, beautiful world that is finally, at long last, yours to define. Stand tall, keep your blade sharp, and remember that even in a world governed by machines, a human will that refuses to break is the most powerful force in existence. The journey of the rebel is infinite, the horizon is wide, and the story you write today will echo through the halls of every world yet to be born. The system is dead, but the legend of the man who ended it will never die. It lives in every act of defiance, every moment of truth, and every step taken toward a future that belongs to no one but you. Now, take that freedom and do something worth remembering. The future is waiting. Let's go.
वीडियोस बनाने हैं, फिल्मोरा है ना?